Welcome to Let's Talk Learning Technology. Do you know the latest in learning technology? Matt and Walter do. From learning authoring tools and animation to virtual reality and everything in between, innovative learning groups Matt Kurtin and Walter Schirmacher geek out on all of it. Get their perspectives on the latest trends, tips and tricks, and recommendations so your learning tech keeps up with the times.
Hello and welcome everyone to LT Squared. I'm Matt Kurtin, Senior Director of Technology and Visual Design at Innovative Learning Group.
And I'm Walter Schirmacher, a programmer at ILG. With us today is Devon Merz, ILG's AR and VR development lead. Hi, Devon.
Hi, Walter and Matt. Great to be here.
In today's episode, we're going to have a conversation about AR, what it is, how it's used, and current and future capabilities in learning. For those who are new to the terminology of AR, can you describe what it is and how it differs from VR?
AR, or oftenly referred to as augmented reality, is a technology that allows you to see, hear, and really experience the physical world while having digital elements displayed upon it. It has many similarities to virtual reality in that you're wearing a headset and you're displaying these virtual items into your view. But the main difference with virtual reality is that with VR, you're completely immersed in this virtual setting with all virtual objects, whereas when you're in AR, you're seeing the same physical setting that's surrounding you, like your office space or home, but now these physical elements are merged in with the digital elements projected onto your view space.
Before we actually dive into some uses of it, I was curious about the idea of acceptance of AR. I know that things like QR codes took a little while to get ramped up before the public said, hey, that's a QR code, I know what that is. But for augmented reality, it's a little further afield. What do you think about the acceptance of people saying, hey, that's an AR, I can just scan that code and see some augmented reality? Do you think people are ready for it, or do you think it's going to take a little more induction or exposure to it?
Well, I think certainly that's a good question, because at the release of Google Glass, there was a lot of backlash against that. I don't know, Devon, what do you think about getting it accepted?
Right. I think that the acceptance really varies across devices. So I think that there's been some acceptance in the mobile space for AR. For example, as you're referring to, QR codes have been around for a long time. But newer applications such as the popular app Snapchat uses a lot of AR functionality to create filters, as well as a very popular game that came out a few years ago called Pokemon Go has many AR applications. So I think this has driven AR to be at the forefront of consumers' minds when they're purchasing. Now, in terms of having a AR headset, there are two different ways you can go, but I think so far we've seen a lot of consumers focusing on this kind of AR standalone headset. So we've seen industry adoption of the Microsoft HoloLens, but now I think that there's been this new section of AR called mixed reality, where you're seeing the physical world with digital objects projected onto it as you would typically in AR, but now you're using a VR headset. So this new mixed reality capability is available in the MetaQuest Pro, and I think this section of AR will continue to gain acceptance both with consumers as well as industry folks.
I actually just saw something recently with a book, and it had a Google Lens code on the back, and it let you scan it. And so I was intrigued, so I scanned it, and the front cover of the book actually animated into this fantasy map, and then the back cover actually had an overview of the book, like the plot and such, with the author. So it was kind of cool because you got the one thing on the front cover, and then you flipped it over and actually saw the author, and they're talking about, here's what this book's about, and here's why you might like to read it, which was kind of cool. And showing people that, I got sort of a mixed reaction of, what is this? And, oh, this is augmented reality. Really? Oh, I've heard of it, but I had no idea what it was. So I think, as we see more and more of that public acceptance, and that might help us as we, find more and more use cases in training.
The other thing that I think about is how different is it from people's regular glasses? Because when it's significantly heavier and bigger, it looks like something odd. But the smaller it gets and the more it looks just like regular glasses, the less it's going to stand out in the first place, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, my one example was actually on my phone, so that was a pretty easy use of it. I mean, as we try to get people to accept the use of glasses for it, as we start off with like, oh, here's a device you already have and you can use it, and then later on, oh, if you get some special glasses, you'll be able to do even more with it. That helps with that adoption.
So as we think about the existing use cases for AR for training and performance support, Devon, you mentioned the QR codes. I think also there's the work instruction systems that help the employees do their job better by giving them the step-by-step instructions, and can then also pop up 3D models showing them what to do, videos showing what to do, get to the remote coach. Definitely a great use for AR for performance support. As we think about those use cases and we think about what we've done in terms of strategy and development, what do you see as additional potential areas in the future?
Right. I think that there are two areas where AR can really improve existing operations. So I think that it can first improve already present capabilities that we have. So instead of seeing these virtual training videos in a classroom, you can actually see them while you're on the job performing the action. I also think that, you can, instead of seeing, performance of equipment on a laptop screen, you can look over at the equipment and it'll give you a diagnostic menu while you're looking at it in the field. So I think this is amplifying existing capabilities, but it can also create new capabilities as well. So having this mix of VR and AR can allow users to have VR to AR on-the-job assessments and can also give you these heads-up tips in AR. But it can allow you to talk with virtual characters, have interactions with leaders or managers in any location, whether it be the comfort of one's office space or even one's own home.
And I think the importance of that being able to meet with someone else in AR, obviously you could go on a Zoom call and meet with someone else, but the idea of being to meet with them in a space where you could be looking at real equipment that you might be talking about is definitely an advantage there.
So what devices do you see being the most significant for AR?
So for the more mature products like smartphones and tablets, I would think that most phones have this built-in capability, and it's more important to look at budget and specific business needs as constraints. But when you're moving into the other two categories, I think more attention needs to be paid to this. So, for example, with the category of AR-specific headsets, I think that the most promising option would be the Microsoft HoloLens 2. It's been used extensively for AR-specific use cases in industry for a few years so far. But now if you're looking into this other side, this mixed reality where you have the full spectrum from AR to VR, I would go with the newly released Meta Quest Pro there.
Things are always changing with these headsets, and at ILG we've been hands-on testing and discovering the full capabilities of each headset as it comes out, and very excited to see as they continue to unfold how we could make use of them. Any final thoughts on augmented reality?
I think that over time there will be a convergence of these different technologies we've been referencing. So I believe that AR, VR, and MR will merge into this one unifying technology termed as XR, or extended reality. And because of that, I think that organizations that focus too much on one of these components, like drilling into specifically only AR, VR, or MR, at the detriment of the other technologies, are not setting themselves up for future success in the broader XR future. So therefore, I'd recommend at least dabbling in each of these and gaining knowledge about the technologies, when to use them, when not to use them, so that your organization has the experience and preparedness to be ready for the future.
The other thing that I'm seeing is that the tools that are used to create AR are becoming more diverse and becoming a wider range of things that are easier to use for instructional designers like Wikitude and Zappar, up to tools that really would require programmers like Unity or Unreal. I think we've covered a lot of great stuff here today as we talked about what AR really is and how it differs from VR, what some of the use cases for AR are, potential areas that it might be used in the future, and how it's going to change. Thanks a lot, Devon, for your expertise here. Really appreciate it.
Yep, thank you, Matt and Devon. I appreciate it too. I'm excited to see what the future holds. But if you'd like to learn more about AR, we posted some resources at the bottom of this episode's page. Also, if you have any learning technology topics you'd like us to talk about, Matt and I are on Twitter. You can also send us an email at marketing@innovativelg.com.